Hey, this is Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and welcome to the Outlaw Point Series Week 4 JDC Roll-Off Drag Racing Series. So, here's our brackets going into Week 4. This is the final week, and I expect a shakeup in the points. Anything can happen at this stage. Here is our top 8, but you have 4 or 5 people within 1 point and a boatload within 4 points, so anything can happen. This is the final week where the top 8 will go to JDC's track and participate in the Sweet 16. So my top 8 and his top 8. Starting off, we got ZELDA DIECAST Racing versus Bill Stelzer. Both these guys have been kind of off and on, but gaining points every week. So again, at this point, anything can happen. So as always, the red dice is for the right lane. The purple dice is for the left lane. If you roll a 1 or a 2, it's 1 spot moved. If you roll a 3 or a 4, it's 2 spots. If you roll a 5 or a 6, it is 3 spots. So about half track, well, at probably the 120-foot mark, you got the battle of the long-nosed cars here. Both of these cars are big, bulky, and heavy, especially that 71 Mustang with that long nose. However, both seem to be putting power to the ground, but the left lane seems to find a 3-car advantage going into the final stretch, and one more roll will solidify his spot, even though the last-ditch effort, the satellite catches up. We get OG Mikey versus Honest Diecast. Get Chevy on Chevy, Camaro versus Chevelle Wagon. Last week, both these guys didn't do all that well, but I'm hoping for some good this week. Right out of the box, they are evenly matched, nose to nose, and they are staying that way, both rolling identical numbers, and the right lane takes a little bit of an advantage, and it's got 1 car length on the Chevelle Wagon, and the wagon is starting to catch up a little bit, about half track, and the right lane puts the foot down, opens it up 2 car lengths, going into the 3/4 spot. The Chevelle Wagon's catching up and maintaining, but it might be a little too late. In the Camaro, the lightweight Camaro is finally starting to take a lead, going into the final stretch. This could be the week, and since he's in the last spot, all he's got to do is roll. He gets it, and takes the win. OG Mikey in the Camaro. Speaking of Camaros, we got Mike's Mods and Customs versus Chris Welch in the GTO. I know Chris is pretty frustrated with the performance of that GTO, while Mike's been kind of mid-pack, hanging in there, but up and down on the performance side of it. I know he's been trying a bunch of different things, and Chris sounds like he's about ready to rip that motor out or just junk the car altogether. However, right out of the box, the right lane is taking a huge lead. The left lane Camaro seems to be spinning a little bit, starting to catch up. He's got 1 car length in between the GTO and the Camaro, and the Camaro starts to catch back up again. He's nose to nose with that GTO. Will this be the week the GTO gets in a win and goes on to the next round? The Camaro and the GTO are both rolling almost identical. They are pacing themselves, and going in towards the finish line, it looks like the GTO, all he's going to do is get a decent roll, and he does, and finishes first place. Congratulations to the GTO. Next up, we got our points leader, Rob FURROW versus Johnson, 91.95. Get the Mustang versus, if any roll goes out of the box, we have to re-roll. So they both come out even out of the starting line. The track seems to be pretty decent this week. A lot of guys were talking about the cold weather and how it was going to affect the horsepower and the traction, more importantly. So I noticed everybody's putting a lot more tire prep down and doing a longer burnout. Hopefully that works for them. I'm not sure. But the lightweight Mustang seems to be a little bit more on the horsepower side of things, while the Plymouth, or the Roadrunner, is catching up, but seems to be catching up and then falling behind, catching up and falling behind. That Mustang is really got some horsepower. 1 more spot is made up by the right lane, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. but they come in even at the finish line. It's going to be anybody's race. The highest roll wins here at this stage of the game, and the left lane with a 6 to the right lane's 1 takes it. Rob Furrow gains 3 more points. That's not what anybody wanted to see. Next up, we got Mario Skull Motors versus Eddie Bennett. Eddie Bennett has been hot pretty much the entire series so far, while Mario is just starting to come on in the last week or so. But the GMC Cyclone really pops off the gate and doesn't seem to be letting up. They're both rolling pretty decent. They're staying even though the GMC is 1 car length ahead. Now he moves up to 2 car lengths. That heavy Torino of Mario's doesn't seem to have what it takes and keeps falling behind roll after roll. I had a camera issue here. Eddie did win. I'm not sure what I was doing. I think I was semi-intoxicated, so I was given promotion to director. But Eddie did win. He won handily. I'm not really sure what happened here. The excitement of the games, I guess. Sylvester Groves versus Mike Espo Diecast Customs in that 55 gasser. That Camaro was on fire last week. So, not literally, but he was really doing well. The gasser started off strong in week 1 and seems to be falling off a little bit, but he was making some points. So, again, every round counts. This is the final grasp here with week 4. In the 55, seems to be out front. They're both staying consistent. They're pacing each other, and the rolls are going in the favor of the left lane, even though the right lane is catching up. The Camaro's got plenty of top end, and he's got the gears to take it at the end. So you can never be counted out. Now they are nose to nose, and they are rolling equal and pacing themselves, going down the track. They're at the 3/4 mark. The right lane takes a little bit of a lead, and hopefully that gasser's got something for him, and he does. He rolls a 5. He takes another 1 car length lead on the Camaro, so they're going back and forth, and the 55 gasser takes it with the last roll at the end. Next, we get DIECAST OUTKAST versus Chevyland TV in the Buick GS. We got Grand National versus GS. I don't think this is the first time these two have met, but Brian has been a little bit, let's say, lackluster in the performance department since he started smack talking Amanda back in, I think, week 2. So I'm not sure if this game is going to work out for him, but he seems to be taking off to the races here. But the GS is catching up. He's got a 1 car length gap. Now they break even at the half track. The Grand Sport seems to be pacing the Grand National. They're going nose to nose. There's only 4 spots left. They're still nose to nose. Nobody wants to give up. Everybody's giving everything they have. And the left lane rolls a 5 to the, so he moves 3 to Brian's 2. The GS takes it at the finish line. Next up, we got Donovan KINYON versus Rick Marshall. The 67 Mustang doesn't seem to be hooking up, at least in the last 3 weeks, while the Viper seemed to have a pretty decent week last week. Hopefully he can continue this week, but either way, it's going to be a decent race. The Mustang has got off to a slow start. The Viper has a 2 car length advantage going in. There's 1 spot is made up. The Mustang is catching up, and then a 6 roll on the right lane puts another spot. So there's 3 spots in between the Viper and the Mustang. And again, he rolls in opening up that gap. There's something seriously wrong with that Mustang. I am not sure what it is. I don't know if it's the tune. I don't know if it's the tires. I honestly don't know. But that Viper is gone. It is up and taking the lead. Pretty much going to cross the finish line with a... Whoop, you got to re-roll that. He's going to pass the finish line with a 2 car length advantage or 1 car length advantage and takes the win. Next up, we get SRS Diecast in the red Chevelle versus Kamikaze in the red Challenger Drift Edition. The Chevelle is one of my favorites only because I'm a Chevelle guy. If anybody knows, once in a while it pans up to the top, but on the back wall I've got an entire rack full of Chevelles. So this was easy to pull off, and I have lots of extras. But right now they are nose to nose. They are about the 120-foot mark. They're not quite halfway. Both of them are pacing themselves. This is turning into a really close race. Nose to nose, both of them are rolling identical rolls, Then the Chevelle takes a little bit of a lead about the half track, and the Chevelle's pretty much maintaining it. They are both going the same speed, but that 5 roll gives him 3 spots, so he opens up to 1 full spot on the drift, and then he pretty much makes it so that he wins with a 2 roll. That advantage at half track paid off. Next up, we got Chris Gibbs versus AD Custom Elite, the 70 Gulf Nova versus the Dodge Dart. Now, both cars are pretty much the same platform. They both light. They both have almost the same wheelbase. It should be a pretty decent race. The Dart takes a 1 car length gap at this point. 2 at this gap. Wow. The gap is pretty much maintaining. I am not sure what's going on with the Nova. He was looking really good in practice, but it seems like, but he was also practicing in the other lane, so I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if he kind of took a stab at the setup, but that Dart is gone. There is pretty much at this point no way that the Nova is going to catch up. If I can keep the dice in the box, that would be good. And he gets a good roll, but it's a little late for that. Chris Gibbs takes the win. Next up, Amanda Ferrari versus Full Custom Die-Cast Garage. Amanda, the legend killer. She's been knocking off first place cars since the beginning, but she hasn't had the finishes she's wanted, but she's been doing pretty good. Overall, the 63 Nova Green with Flames has not had a good run. If you follow him on Instagram, he's been working on this car day and night. I'm hoping he's got it dialed in. He was looking good in practice, but so does Amanda. And it's looking like the Nova's got a 2 car length advantage, about half track, a little bit past that. And he's rolling 6s at the beginning. Now he's starting to back off a little bit, but now he gets 2 car lengths, so he moves 1 ahead. The pink Challenger looks like it's over. That last roll sealed the deal and sent Amanda home. Next up, we got Speed Racer versus J4 Racing. J4 Racing is another one of those cars that have been pretty consistent. Hasn't brought home a full win yet, but has made rounds, and that's what's important in this series, is making rounds and at least being in that top 8 so that they can go to the Sweet 16 at Jay's track. And I will send all 8 cars to Jay, so that way the cars you have here will be the cars he uses on his race. Excuse me. So the Javelin's got a little bit of a lead going in. He's maintaining. The Shelby is catching up, then falls behind, catches up, falls behind. He's closed the gap to 1 full car length, and looks like the Javelin rolls pretty decent, keeps it going at the finish line. All he needs to do is really just roll the dice at this point. He crossed the finish line first. And now, Flying Valiant versus Colin Harvard. Colin has not had a good week. He didn't have he hasn't had a good series. His testing this week looked a little sketchy. Kind of had it hooked up for 1 day. Then I saw some smoke coming out of his engine at the last second on the last pass. But he promised me he got it fixed. Flying Valiant's been catching up week by week, tweaking his car, going a little further. Last week was a really good week for him. He made up a ton of points. I'm not sure if Colin has anything for him right now. The Challenger is pretty much 2 car lengths ahead, going into the 3/4 mark. Colin gets a good roll, makes up a spot. He's only 3 away from the end, but that Challenger is hooking up, and he is right there. All he's got to do is roll a 2. He rolls a 3. He moves 2 spots, and he takes the win. Next up is Week 1's winner, Wastelands Raceway versus Southpaw Diecast, who I know is frustrated with that Monte Carlo. He's made plenty of comments on the videos. I know it's frustrating, but hard work pays off. So, all you can do is keep grinding and get better every week. The Chevelle, the 64 Chevelle, is falling behind early while the left lane hooks up and starts taking off and opening up a little bit of a gap. The Chevelle is starting to catch up, made a little bit of ground there, but he's going to pretty much maintain that because they both rolled really good. A 5 and a 6 gives them each a three spots. Both 4s, so they both move 2. They're keeping the same distance, so they're pacing themselves. So this race was almost won out of the gate when the Monte Carlo got a hole shot. And with a 5 to a 3 spot right there, that seals the deal for the Monte Carlo. Next up, we got COOTER'S Speed Shop driving my 66 Nova versus Alf Red in the 61 Impala. Both roll 5s, so they move 3 spots right off the bat. They're hooking up out of the box. The pimp juice they're using seems to be working. They're maintaining. This is turning into a really good race so far. Neither one is giving up. Neither one is letting off the throttle. They're both going full force. The Impala gets a little bit of a lead on that Nova going into the half-track point, but the right lane catches up. They're nose to nose. Nobody's giving in. They're both giving every single ounce of horsepower that they have. The Nova's got a 1 car length advantage going into the 3/4 mark. It moves up a little bit more. The Impala seems to be getting a little bit loose, while the Nova cruises to a finish. Congratulations to Cooter. Calibre 50 Customs versus Gene Eggleston. Gene in that Cooter has been very, very, very consistent. I think he's number 2 in points. So, just keep getting those round wins and building on, week to week. And that's what you got to do to win this thing and at least get into the top 8. So, anyways, all that advice seems to be all for naught, because that Camaro in the left lane is really taken off. He's got a 1 car length advantage. The Cooter is rolling really low. He's only moving a little bit at a time, while the left lane is making big jumps. But there's still a little bit of time left. We got 2 spot advantage going in. 1 spot's made up. We got a good roll here will put Gene even. A bad roll on the left lane will put him even, and that's exactly what happened. The highest roll here wins. They are neck and neck at the finish line, and the right lane with a 4 to the left lane of a 2. Gene takes it at the line. Here are our points after round 1, week 4. Things are starting to sort out a little bit. We've got a lot of racing left. We've got some 15s. We've got 3 12s. We got a ton of 9s and 6s. So anything can happen. Once again, thank you to Jay at JDC for allowing me the opportunity to do this. I will catch you on the next round.